Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Distinguished Service Cross Award ceremony in honor of Master Sergeant Henry Hank F. Beck Jr. Our host for today's ceremony is the Chief of Staff of the Army, General Mark A. Milley. Please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the singing of the national anthem by Master Sergeant Antonio Giuliano and the invocation delivered by Chaplain Paul Hurley.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets ran o'er, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
We read in the scriptures, Lord, you have been our refuge through all generations. Before the mountains were born, the earth and the world brought forth, from eternity to eternity, you are God. Let us pray. Eternal and everlasting God, we recognize your presence in the life of Master Sergeant Beck. You call us to a sacred purpose, to serve our fellow soldiers and families. We see your extraordinary grace in ordinary men like Master Sergeant Beck, whose life bears witness that all that is good and holy finds its source in you. I pray all these things in your holy name. Amen.
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, General Milley.
So Hank, if you can come on up here, and I'm going to brag a little bit on you. First of all, a couple of thank yous for being here to everybody, but a couple of orientation pieces. We're videotaping this because Hank's battalion commander, Lieutenant General retired Rosenblum, could not make it because of age, but he was the original submitter of the Distinguished Service Cross for Hank 50 years and 2 days ago for actions in South Vietnam. So the other thing you'll notice in this room is this is the Hall of Heroes, and I think it's more than appropriate to go ahead and award the Distinguished Service Cross here. You'll see the various medals of honor from the different services over my shoulders, and on the walls around you, you'll see the names of all the Medal of Honor recipients. So who is Hank Beck? Master Sergeant, retired, United States Army, 3 tours in Vietnam, 2 tours with the 101st Airborne Division, 1 tour with the 82nd Airborne Division, and in addition to the 101st and 82nd, he proudly served in the 509th over in Italy back in the day, and then he served in the mighty 5th Special Forces Group, Airborne at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Also was a Pathfinder instructor, and then after retirement, Hank became a sheriff in Orange County, Florida, and then true to the bootstrap sort of personality that Hank is, studied hard, worked hard, and earned a PhD in criminal justice. Hank's been awarded 2 Purple Hearts, 1 ARCOM with V, and the Silver Star, in addition to what he's about to receive today with the Distinguished Service Cross. But before I go on any more about Hank, I want to first welcome some very special guests. First is his wife of 49 years. And anybody who's been married to Hank Beck for 49 years deserves induction into the roles of sainthood. So we call Hank's spouse Saint Barbara for 49 years, and you can see the chaplain afterwards for official induction. His wonderful son and daughter are here, John and Lori, and of course John also served his country very proudly. He served that on the USS Essex, which was a LHD or LPD? LHD in the Navy. He didn't meet the standards for the Army, so he chose the Navy. But we're looking for the grandson, Landon. Where's Landon? Landon's right there. Landon's going to join the Army and follow in Grandpa's steps and be a United States Army Green Beret. And Carrie's the smart one. Carly is the smart one of the family. At 8, she is a 4.0 student, and she plans on either going to Harvard or Princeton in the future, becoming a medical doctor, and she will tend to all of Landon's issues that he may have in the future after his time in Special Forces. Niece Brandy is here. Brandy down there with nephew Paul. Thank you both for coming. The family of Richard Murphy, is Richard Murphy's family here? I don't know if they made it or not. Richard Murphy was also a member of the recon platoon in 2nd 327 in Vietnam. He passed away a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, he couldn't. His family couldn't make it today to represent him. Of really special significance, though, are some very special people that are here today. Sergeant Major Becerra, right over here. Sergeant Major Becerra retired from the United States Army. Sergeant Major Becerra was the command sergeant major for 2nd 327 at the time in Vietnam. Also with us is PFC Kapuska, otherwise known as Pooh. Right there, he was the automatic rifleman, 20 years old at the time, still 20 years old. And thank you for coming. And then W.A. Bowen. W.A. Bowen was also a member of Hawk 1-4, which was the call sign of the recon element. And W.A. was the RTO for the team, also 20 years old at the time. Not with us today, also members of the team, was the team leader, Sergeant Copeland, who was in his mid to late 20s at the time. And then PFC Thornburg, who was the M79 gunner, seriously wounded in action at the moment. And then, unfortunately, PFC Ken Underwood, who was killed in action. Ken Underwood was 18 at the time, and the following day was his 19th birthday. And he was walking point on this particular mission. Lieutenant General Rosenblum is, as I said, not here. His call sign Thunderball, but I wanted to give a shout out to him. I believe he's 94 today, veteran of many wars. He was highly respected in the battalion, and without his energy, we would not be awarding Hank the DSC today, 50 years later. And the same is true for W.A. And Pooh and Sergeant Major Becerra. Without their collective energies of the four of them, this recognition probably would have never happened. Also here today are members of the Special Forces Association. Thanks to all of you for being here. And then the commander, Command Sergeant Major, and a couple of members from the current Scout Platoon of 2nd and 327 are here. So thank you. And that is the current Hawk 1-4. So a couple of words on the DSC. There's only been 13,446 Distinguished Service Crosses ever awarded to anyone in U.S. military history. And it was first formed in 1917. In Vietnam, we awarded 1,051 of them. Today it'll be 1,052. And then in the last 15 consecutive years of war, in Iraq and Afghanistan and elsewhere, we've awarded 30 Distinguished Service Crosses. This is an extraordinarily high award, second only to the Congressional Medal of Honor. So today, 50 years ago today, in 2 days, at right about the same time, at about 15:45, 20 minutes ago, on 25 February 1967, Hawk 1-4 was inserted by air assault into a small LZ in an area in South Vietnam. And it was part of a larger operation. What Task Force Oregon was doing, which was 1st Brigade, 101st Airborne Division, was an operation called Farragut, which was right on the heels of Junction City, Operation Junction City. And their task, operating in the 2 Corps tactical zone, was to locate and destroy the enemy. And it was specifically the enemy secret base camp number 35. Leading up to the operation in the first week of February, 2nd of 327 had very light contact. I've read all the reports. In fact, I would say you kept much more detailed reports in the 1960s than we do today. And it was fascinating reading as I could read through all the 1594 logs and see all the contacts of all the patrols from 2nd 327. The second week, there was a Tet truce, the Tet holiday in South Vietnam. There was a bit of a truce. There was still contact, but the contact clearly died down. On 12th February, 2nd 327 received a frag order, and their mission at this time was to clear Highway 1, and they moved out on 16 February and conducted an air assault to an area called Song Mao. On 17 February, there was an Air Force B-52 strike, and then the 1st Brigade, 101st, consisting of 2nd and the 502nd, and the 1st and 2nd Battalions of 327, was sent in to exploit the battle damage on the B-52 strike, also with the task to block and clear any enemy reinforcements or enemy escape. At 1545, Hank Beck and the 6 members of Hawk 1-4, those members that are here today, were inserted. The weather was clear. It was hot. It was about 110 degrees or so. They were inserted into triple canopy jungle with rolling hills, deep valley, and lots of small villages in the area. They were in Phan Thiet province. Hank Beck was 19 years old at the time, and he was carrying an M60 machine gun with 400 rounds of ammunition, a satchel bag of hand grenades, a claymore, a law, a machete, 2 canteens of water, and a little bit of chow. The 6-man recon team hit the LZ, exited the aircraft, and began to slowly move their way towards the wood line. At that point, a North Vietnamese army, these were regular army North Vietnamese from the 95th Pavan Regiment, engaged the patrol and immediately killed Ken Underwood, who was walking point at the time. Underwood went down, and Thornburg was hit in the hip and through his stomach, and he was seriously wounded in action. The 6-man team was now down to 4 men. Hank Beck immediately took charge and exposed himself to enemy fire. He ran across an open field. He killed the NVA sniper team with his M60 and hand grenades, and at that point a machine gun opened up on the remaining 3 members of the team, and pinned them down. With complete disregard for his own safety, Spec 4 Hank Beck maneuvered against the enemy machine gun position, outflanked them, approached them from the rear, threw hand grenades, and then proceeded to assault to kill an estimated 5 to 6 North Vietnamese army. Beck then moved back to his position and reasserted control over the team, started to redistribute ammunition, called in an airstrike on the remaining members of the 95th North Vietnamese Regiment, and then called in a medevac. As the medevac came in, got the wounded and killed out, he then called in another team, another recon team, to come in and help reinforce. They maneuvered on their position. Hank called for extraction aircraft. Extraction aircraft came in, and he was able to extract both Hawk 1-1, another recon team, and Hawk 1-4, the 3 remaining members of his own team. In the process of that 60 minutes or so, Hank Beck eliminated an estimated 10 enemy personnel and an unknown number through airstrikes and other forms of indirect fire. Hank Beck's heroism, valor, and his leadership under fire clearly mark him as an American hero, and it's my honor to present him with the Distinguished Service Cross. Go ahead and publish the orders.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated during the presentations. Attention to orders. The President of the United States of America, authorized by Act of Congress 9 July 1918, amended by Act of 25 July 1963, has awarded the Distinguished Service Cross to Specialist Four Henry F. Beck Jr., 2nd Battalion, 327th Infantry, for extraordinary heroism in connection with military operations involving conflict with an armed enemy in the Republic of Vietnam, while serving as Assistant Recon Team Leader with Hawk 14, 2nd Battalion, 327th Infantry, 1st Brigade, 101st Airborne Division. On 25 February 1967, Specialist Four Beck's team came under heavy enemy small arms fire as they dismounted their helicopter. After the team assembled and began to move to cover, Specialist Four Beck observed a partially concealed two-man sniper team 20 meters away. To protect his team, Specialist Four Beck exposed himself to enemy fire to throw a smoke grenade and call for suppressive fire while he ran across the open terrain to the spider hole. He then eliminated the sniper team with rifle fire and hand grenades. Upon returning to his team, he noticed an enemy machine gun crew firing upon them. Again, without regard to his personal safety and extreme personal risk, Specialist Four Beck turned and charged the gun position alone and succeeded in killing the surprised five-man gun crew. Specialist Four Beck threw hand grenades into the enemy positions and then called in an airstrike to destroy the Viet-Cong complex. Through his courage and personal engagement with the enemy, Specialist Four Beck prevented the remainder of his patrol from being overrun and directly prevented the loss of American lives. Specialist Four Beck's extraordinary heroism and devotion to duty were in keeping with the highest traditions of military service and reflects great credit upon himself, the 101st Airborne Division, and the United States Army. Signed, General Mark A. Milley, Chief of Staff of the Army, and the Honorable Robert M. Spear, Acting Secretary of the Army.
All right, Hank. Extraordinarily well deserved. Thank you, sir. Incredible. Thank you. Thank you.
You guys done with a day over 19, so great.
Thank you.
I'm going to take my seat. The floor is yours.
Thank you, General Milley.
Oh, yes. The floor is not yours. Sorry. It's okay. Look at the camera. Here, grab hold of that.
Okay, just hold it up a little closer. Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Perfect. Great. That's it. Let go.
Ladies and gentlemen, Master Sergeant Beck.
Thank you. A lot of very important people here, to include my family. Put them first. I want to say thank you to the chain of command, to General Milley and the staff, to his lovely wife, Holly Ann, for doing all the behind-the-scenes things. The invitations that I sent out to Bruce Levy and his lovely bride, to the Special Forces Association, to the Rangers, and to the members of current Hawk 1-4. Would you please stand? Thank you, gentlemen. We have the Sergeant Major and the Battalion Commander from the 327, and the thing that impressed me was the members of Hawk 1-4 being able to come down here and share this experience. I wanted the young private first class to see what it's like to be a true soldier in the United States Army. Once you are, you will forever be that person. And your actions and reflections will remain with you for the rest of your life, and it is something that you need to understand, digest, and keep with you, always and forever. And it's lessons I learned in life, and there's several people I want to thank. My first platoon sergeant in Vietnam was a guy named Pappy Brown. June 6, 1944, he jumped into Normandy as platoon sergeant for a gentleman that some of you may know, later Lieutenant General Melvin Zais. He was the company commander. Well, 22 years later, he was still a platoon sergeant, and he happened to be mine. Nobody messed with Pappy Brown's boys. He taught me leadership, honor, and courage. And that is a progression in the Army way of life. The older men, such as myself now, when we get into those positions like General Milley, he reflects back on where you came from, how you got there, and who helped you. I have done that in my career, and I have been very successful in it. And current day 101st and all units throughout the United States Army, you are a soldier for life and never forget it. To the Pathfinders that I was a member of, I think Pat Dougherty, I trained him here. He was commander of the 101st Pathfinders in Vietnam, and we go way back. I spoke with him numerous times, and for some reason or another, life is a circle. You know, we reinvent the wheel, but we keep coming back to the same things, and paths that we cross and the people that help us along the way. We didn't all do it by ourselves. I didn't do it that day. I had W.A. and Pooh with me. And as a team, we overcame incredible odds. That day, we should have died. I had somebody, a superior person, watching over me that day, I'm telling you. And to be here, to be a father and a grandfather with my kids is amazing. My son, he's a small business owner in Florida, doing great. My daughter, she's in real estate. And of course, the woman that my general calls St. Barbara. Wait a minute, I put up with her too. But seriously, it is an honor to be called a United States Army soldier. I love the title. This is the uniform I graduated from the Sergeant Major's Academy with 32 years ago. So I take pride in who I am, and what I represent. I'm Army strong. I'm a soldier forever. God bless America, and thank you very much.
Master Sergeant Beck, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the singing of the Army Song. The words can be found in the back of your program.
March along, sing a song with the army of the free. Count the brave, count the true, who have fought to victory. We're the army and proud of our name. We're the army and proudly proclaim. First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might. And the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won. And the army goes rolling along. Then it's hi, hi, hey, the army's on its way. Count off the cadence loud and strong. 2, 3. For wherever we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along. Army strong, huh?
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. Please congratulate Master Sergeant Beck and his family in the receiving line. There will also be a reception in the back room of the Hall of Heroes. Thank you for attending and enjoy the rest of your day.
Are we doing the receiving line? Right here?
Yes, sir.
Henry? Yes. St. Barbara? Secretary? You're the Secretary of the Army, Mr. Secretary? You're the first one today?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
St. Barbara?
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. Thank you.
I'm changing my name.